Episode 11 opens up with Commander Lawrence's wife holding a gun to his head. She's still really pissed off that the ceremony went through, and June has to walk in and kind of walk her off the ledge. Mrs. Lawrence is yelling that he raped you, and she says, look, we all could have done something different here, but I need him because I have a plan, and this plan has to work, and I need his clearances, so I need you not to kill him right now. And luckily for everybody in the room, June is able to get the gun away from Mrs. Lawrence. After Commander Lawrence and June put Mrs. Lawrence to bed, she walks downstairs and says, okay, here's the plan. 52 kids are getting out of Gilead. We need more trucks. And that was a lot more than was initially expected. But she's not really giving Commander Lawrence a choice. The next day, the Martha of the house comes to June and says they're here. June has no idea who's here, and she says, look, listen to them. Don't ask any questions. Just answer their questions. And when she goes downstairs, there's about 6 or 7 Marthas kind of challenging June on this whole plan, asking, whose idea was this? Oh, it's yours. Who gave you clearance on this? This is a stupid plan. You're going to get everybody killed. And the real issue is that these Marthas have their own plan. And they're worried about June's plan getting in the way of their plan. Because if June's plan fails, the whole city goes on lockdown and it screws up their original plan. And it seems like this group does truly control the Marthas. Where they go, the Marthas will go, and they can shut down June's entire operation. June pleads her case and says if we can save 52 kids from this place, why wouldn't you do that? Ultimately, June and the Marthas come to an agreement that June will go through her plan, it won't interfere with the Marthas' plan, and if June is caught, the Marthas aren't coming to save her, she's on her own. It did help that the Martha of the Lawrence household did in fact vouch for June. Afterwards, June goes upstairs and starts asking the Martha about the other Martha's plan, because they had mentioned a plane, some guy's name, and a shipment, and she wants to know what's in the shipment. Now, the Martha doesn't know what's in the shipment, but she does know that a bartender at Jezebel's named Billy is controlling the shipment. June asks, do you trust him? And she says, I trust his love of money more than anything. But the two are interrupted by the other Martha in the house, who they don't really trust yet, and she's holding Mrs. Lawrence's food tray that hasn't been touched. And that's pretty weird that Mrs. Lawrence wouldn't even bring it inside. June asks, well, have you seen Lawrence? And she says, no, I guess he's sleeping in. And when June goes into Commander Lawrence's office, a bunch of books have been shredded, and he just left a note that says, sorry. And understandably so, the entire house at this point, or what's left of it, is freaking out. June says, we probably have 2 days at best to form a plan. And June starts looking through drawers and notes and documents, anything that can help them formulate a plan to save their lives, basically. June is doing this all night, and eventually the door opens, and she hears Commander Lawrence's voice. So the Lawrences have returned, and when he enters his office, there's June waiting for him. And June rips into him, saying, you made me a promise to help get these kids out, but Lawrence says, I'm sorry, I have a bigger obligation to my wife than I do you, but I guess I had a change of heart. And June isn't buying that and says, no, that's not it. June says, you can't get out, can you? Commander Lawrence comes clean and says, there's no clearance level, and I don't have them. And honestly, I don't think that's a coincidence. June asks him if he can get trucks out, and he says, I can't even get a mouse out at this point. I'm stuck here. Lawrence says it's just a matter of time before they come for me, and then they come for you. Now, I'm going to try to find you a nice commander to go to, and I'll try to keep you away from the colonies and Jezebels. But June doesn't want to hear that and says, you're taking me to the city, and you're taking me to the city right now. So Commander Lawrence, for lack of a better term, is forced to drive June up to Jezebel's, and she sneaks in the back door and locates the bartender named Billy. Now, keep in mind, she's being pretty cagey about this because she's in a whorehouse, she's a female, she's dressed up, she's not trying to look out of place, but she's also not trying to pick up guys either. June starts asking Billy about the plane that he has, and she comes clean that she doesn't want to get out. The plane would be for the Martha, a commander, his wife, and then, oh, by the way, 52 kids. And Billy is stunned and says, yeah, there's no way. June says, I have money, but Billy says it can't be enough. And then she says, I have a bunch of famous paintings. Because when the government was overthrown, Commander Lawrence raided all of the art museums, and he has a collection that is worth millions. So June offers up some of the art, and Billy says, I'm still not doing it. June asks, well, you'll think about it. Billy says, no, I won't. So June finally offers up all of the art. June says, you get all the art, and all you have to do is keep the plane on the ground for a day. But Billy says, a day? You'll be lucky if it's on the ground for 20 minutes. But this offer of all the art is enough for Billy to at least consider it. June says, let me know, and gets up to leave, but she's stopped by Commander Winslow. Commander Winslow wants to know what she's doing there and says, did Lawrence bring you here? And she says, yeah. Winslow asks, well, then why isn't he in a room with you right now? And she says, well, he just likes me to tell him what goes on here. You know, everybody has their kink. To which Winslow responds with, okay, well, let's give him something you can tell him about. He makes June get on a bed, face down, and right before he's about to kind of get into it, June just says fuck it and starts attacking him. They get into an all-out brawl, and it ends with June grabbing a pen and stabbing him repeatedly, getting to her feet, grabbing a statue, and cracking him in the head right after he says, please don't, I have a family, I have kids. Obviously the wrong thing to say to a handmaid. So June is sitting there pondering her next move with a dead commander next to her, and there's a knock on the door for housekeeping. And when the housekeeper comes in, she's obviously stunned by what she's seeing, but she also recognizes June, because this is one of the 5 women that June saved that day in the cages at the airport when June was forced to pick 5 of those women to become Marthas. She tells June how to get out of the hotel, what elevator to take, what exit to take, and then with the help of the other Marthas in the hotel, cleans the room spotless and gets rid of the body. The next morning, as June wakes up all bruised up, Commander Lawrence brings her a gun, hands it to her, and says, they're going to be coming for us. Now, a few people we haven't mentioned in this episode are the Waterfords, who are going to meet with the guy from the American government at a neutral location. And as they're driving, the roads are completely empty. So Commander Waterford lets Serena drive, which is against the law, but nobody's on the road to stop them. They end up taking shelter in a family's home, and it doesn't really seem like they know the family, but Commander Waterford's commander status helps them get a room for the night. The two are having a conversation that night about what life would be like for them if this whole thing had never happened. And Fred says, well, I guess I'd still be doing my job and you would be a pundit and a writer. And Serena finally tells him how she feels and says, I just can't believe that you took that from me. And Fred admits that he had no idea how hard this would be on Serena and apologizes. And it seems like their relationship is getting back on track. And the next day they go to meet with this guy at a neutral location, and he shows up and says, hey, follow me up the road. I have a safe place we can talk. But up the road is not just up the road. It's quite a ways. And when Fred finally gets to the car, he's pretty pissed off because he feels like he was led on a wild goose chase. But he doesn't have time to really complain about it because he's being told that he just crossed over to Canada and he's under arrest as a war criminal. All of these soldiers come out of the woods and surround them and start reading Commander Waterford his Miranda rights. Commander Waterford is absolutely floored at this point, and him and Serena are separated and taken away. And this gives you an idea of what would happen to Commander Lawrence if he escaped into Canada.